This is your daily market recap for Wednesday, September 21st, 2022. Let's go. Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at EXPI Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and this is your daily market recap for Wednesday, September 21st, FOMC day. Wow, talk about volatility up and down, even though the VIX finished with a doji. A lot of interesting action. Please stick around for the whole video. Gotta dig deep into this one to try to figure out what's happening next. I hope people are being safe. If you're buying weekly calls, puts, trading aggressively near term, you may have gotten knocked out. The goal is not to get knocked out. Again, you might not make as much money sometimes, but you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful. So I apologize. I thought the market would close near the highs. It didn't. Based on what Powell said, nothing changed. However, the market's going to do what the market's going to do. We talked about the gap in like 377, 378. Did not expect it to fill when it dropped down to 379, popped right back, and then, but you know what? You trade long enough, nothing really surprises you. Hence why I talk about this constantly. Please don't chase. Please don't overtrade. Be careful. Be careful. Be careful. Be careful. You got to always be risk conscious first. So again, if you're following, check us out on Twitter. Please subscribe on YouTube. Gonna open up the channel in time here and there to folks. I mean, I appreciate the feedback, but really looking for folks who, again, they will take free content and use it versus the folks who are like, oh, if I only will take this series if you charge me $500 a month. Nope. Trying to build a team of people who don't need to pay to learn, because usually what happens is I become their babysitter. I have no desire to do that. Anyway, we'll get into the markets now. We got what? It's the Bitcoin. At this point, I mean, every day, going nowhere. Got to break the lows to be bearish. Got to get over the highs to be bullish. Moving later along. Oil. Feds are going to like this. The Feds are liking the action here as oil comes down. Pretty obvious at this point that this was the double top. Retail was all in on the retests. Now you're just tripping to lows. Still think 60 to 65 area. Potentially said that over and over and over and over again. I'm looking for pops to short. Not really interested in chasing at this point. The dollar said, watch out for a blow up today. It's crazy how it closed right at the trend line. What a well thought out plan, market makers. Is this a novice gap blow off near term? I think it is. Bonds, we talked about them catching a bid at some point. Well, here you go, Fed day, zing, close at the high of the day. Not surprised. I think the market's going to like bonds coming down near term. Now, I know people are going to say, recession, it's a recession, game over. I get it. Deflation, and this is exactly why I've said multiple times, please be careful with buying metals and materials. I think ultimately tech is going to rally near term, and then what? Then probably we get more action down. I've said this about 1,000 times on the Discord room and to folks. Powell's goal today was not to trash the market. So was this a trap? Because again, he's going into a midterm election. His handlers do not want him to what? Spook and tank the market. So whatever was the moment of how people felt today, I'm telling you, I think the headlines are going to flip very shortly. You'll see. That's typically what happens. You know, we talked about the markets close at the lows before they flip. The VIX today, big, wide action. Last time we saw that, I was trying to look. Don't move that. Oh well. Hold on, let me move this back. Thank you. So there's a thank you. Long wicks before some pullback. I'm trying to remember where I saw that last time we had a major doji. On a Fed day, maybe here. I'm trying to remember. No, that wasn't a Fed. Whatever. I had it earlier. I didn't save it. I apologize. But my point being is at this point, the action was very... I mean, if you're around, let's just get into the SPY. I mean, for 1 minute, you think... I wouldn't say a minute. For like an hour, you thought you had pure bliss, right? You're like, this is the best market ever. And we talk about the first move down, being a trap, and it was down. Then you went up. Then you came back down and made a lower low. Wow, talk about mass confusion. However, keep in mind, look at the daily. We're filling this gap here. Here, I'll draw it for you. Everybody's bearish. Everybody's bearish. Very nerve-wracking. Very nerve-wracking as a bull, as a bear, whatever. I mean, we've talked about this over and over again. It feels like everyone's bearish at the lows again, and the market's going to do what? It's going to play the game of rip face before it goes lower. It just seems obvious. Now, I don't know what the catalyst is going to be. That's the hardest part. Like, you don't know why. And does it happen? Can you be late? Sure. If you got capital, I mean, I'm on margin. I'm getting pretty long here. And if I stop out, it won't be the end of the world. I mean, had a great year already. Anticipating this kind of action leading to a pop. It just seems very logical. Again, think about it. If bonds bottomed, dollar tops, everybody's bearish. I mean, I was just doing a little test on stock twits just to see what kind of reactions is. Wow. I mean, I can't remember the last time I saw a stock twits. I mean, just all bears. I mean, everyone's just going, pow, trash the market. Now that you filled the gap, be thoughtful of what? What's the next low? I mean, could you get down to 370? I mean, if everybody's calling for 370 again, probably doesn't happen. Could it happen later? Absolutely. Near term, we've talked about this where Fed days do what? They play this game. I think here was the last Fed day. You gap down and you turn right back around shortly after. We'll see. I mean, let me pull up all the different Fed days. I have them from 2022. So we had July 14th and 15th, June 14th, July 26th and 27th. Where was July? Yep, here you go. You dropped, turn right back around right after the Feds. May 3rd and 4th. Where was it? Oh, here you go. Zip, popped it back out. Again, I'm not expecting a full-on bull market to emerge out of this, folks. I don't. However, I do feel like it's very reminiscent of the last quarterly FOMC meeting where it made a low and then sprung back and then chopped out. That's my thinking going into at least 2 or 3 weeks. I'm telling you right now, the pump is going to be on for the midterm elections. The party that is in control, whether you like them or not, doesn't matter. They do this at every midterm. They're going to try to paint a picture of what things are either not that bad or going to get better. And I'm telling you, the news is going to be there to help their cause because they are. They always are. We all know the news likes one side better than the other. Trust me. It's obvious. One can get away with anything. The other one does anything wrong, and it's just end of the world. QQQ. We're right. Man, I mean, we are at massive points of control here. How much lower could we go? I mean, you never know. But this is, and again, keep in mind, what do we say about candles with high volume and wide and loose? I know this closed at the lows. No doubt. I would consider this wide and loose because, look, you rallied up to 295, closed at 293. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. But I'm anticipating near term. Again, I know the Stock Traders Almanac says bearish, but the Stock Traders Almanac at this point would tell you if you're down for the whole month, where's the first of the month? If you're down, you probably rally back. You probably do the opposite. You kind of meet in the middle somewhere at the end of the month, but I would not be surprised. It just seems very logical that the Feds are going to pretend that they're winning when we all know they're going to lose. They don't navigate soft landings. We know that. Just be careful. Because again, and people are like, well, what happens if it breaks? No, do you go short? I wouldn't jump into short. I'd be waiting. Because even along the way, there's pops. There are absolute pops, okay? And one of the things that, I keep saying over and over, and I apologize to go back to the VIX, but this gap probably fills in the 20 range. How? Why? I have no clue. It just seems very likely that we're going to come back and fill this before we go higher. And that would make sense if it's a midterm year and everybody's screaming, oh, it's the best time, it's the best part of the cycle to buy stocks. IWM, not ideal, right? Taking out the lows. the volume is a little bit weak sauce. We'll see. And again, this is what we talk about. Sometimes like the market closes on these reds and then turns right around. We've seen this a lot, right? Or green, opposite action, right? You come up and then it's like bam, right? Talked about this being a lot. You close up at the high, green, boom, flipped right over, right? You close down, you flip right back. Close down, you flip right back. Close at the lows, you flip right back. So, Kieran, if you're listening, I mean, this is my example. What's up, Kat? Talking about this. And it doesn't matter if it's the Fed day or not. I mean, this has been a reoccurring pattern lately within the markets is that it tries to close at the lows and then it turns, or not tries, it does. Again, close at the highs and just flips right around. Close at the highs, flips right around. I mean, you can just, whatever color, it doesn't matter. But this has been a reoccurring theme within this market constantly. Kat, you're purring too loud. The GLD, let's get in the lab. Talked about it. Leave it alone. Here you go, Doji. I'm telling you right now, commodities and the market makers, the CME, all the people in control of pressing the levers while they still work want commodities down. And I'm telling you right now, they're not gonna be friendly to potentially gold and silver, or worst case scenario, they just go nowhere. They go nowhere. Chop, silver, same thing. People were like, oh, look at the miners, they're going up, and it's like, oh yeah. I mean, I think they're all stuck. I mean, I'm gonna rip through these GDX, nothing. I don't think there's much of a room here. People are not gonna come jumping back into this stuff. GDXJ, sideways. Remember, I like that one better when the market does bottom. AG, leave it alone for now. Please, 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 please. AEM, this is the one though. This one has volume. I love this. Waiting for the retest. Here you go. Let's wait for the retest somewhere in the upper 30s. Newmont, please leave this thing alone. I told y'all 1,000 times. Look at what happened in 2008 in the monthly. I mean, gold was holding up pretty good. Everything seemed okay. Slam. They took Newmont down 20%. Or sorry, 50% after it already corrected some. So it just, you got to understand, like the miners, just they love to beat the junk out of them. And people want to be bullish always. And it's like the evidence does not ever point to that. PAAS, holding sideways, leave it alone. What we talked about, materials names. I think the market ultimately is going to like some softness in materials. Now, again, if they come crashing down, the market's going to take that as a sign. But if they slowly correct and go sideways and money rotates out, even if it's just for a week or two and the market holds up, I think the market's going to like that, because what is the biggest concern for Powell? Inflation, right? We all know that. So at this point, just leave it alone. We talked about the 200-day. It's going to be a choppy beast. I mean, I love X for the long term, but knowing what's going on here, this is going to be just a choppy, sloppy mess. Nucor guided basically down to flat last couple days ago. Talked about this range, playing the game. Goodbye. Right? And not goodbye. VALE, someone asked me this morning, is this a goodbye at professionally gapped? It looks like the professional gap for only lasted a couple days. And now what? If the materials market is going to take it, it's going to take back all those gains, go right back to where it started. CCJ, I mean, I tried to warn bulls, like, be scared when everybody's getting bullish and CNBC's pumping uranium. You got to go. I've said this a lot. It could get to 16 to 18, maybe even 21 area. Don't buy these names and hold on to them. Promise me you won't. Arrow. It's bear market ultimately, right? Like anything that we do play up is just short term in nature. Arrow, I like this. I like to see it come back in the 8s. It's really that simple. Mosaic, flat today. I mean, all these names, they're great long term, but please don't buy them early. CF, please don't buy them early. Please don't buy them early. Pops up, comes right back. Keep it simple, silly. You know what I mean. All right, let's talk about the Tecker, because the Tecker was all over the place today. But if you look at the actual charts, people say, oh, does that hammer point south? I mean, you could argue that. You could absolutely argue that. I'm not going to say without a doubt that this is not going to go in your direction lower or higher. I personally think at this point it's holding and compressing. I've said this a lot. I think AMD can pop back up to 86 with the Qs popping back, because if the market gets excited about potentially lower rates near term, and again, midterm election, people are, Powell does not want to own a market smash. I'm just telling you right now, if the market goes ape snot and drops, oh my God, he is going to be wearing it, because that's what all they're going to do is blame Powell, blame Powell, blame Powell, blame Powell. And he doesn't, I mean, I know he doesn't want to feel that. Blame the feds, whatever. SMH, same thing, holding the 200 area. Not the prettiest candle in the world. No one would argue that. Nobody would argue that. However, we've talked about how they can paint ugly candles before you flip, right? Before you flip. Here you go. This looked pretty bad. Gap down, turn right back around, right? At the highs, this looks like it's breaking out. Flipped right back around, right? Looks like it's about to break out. Flips down, right? Here you go. Oh God. End of the world. Comes right back. Pops up. Here we go. Close at the lows in red. Pop back right back up. Right? End red. Zip. Come right back. I mean, do you see how this is where the market is getting rather difficult. And I've said this 1,000 times. You got to just trust your stops, but also be aware, like, what's sentiment? What's everyone doing? Does everyone think the market's going lower? Because I think at this point, if you look at the price action here, you got to be careful. You got to be careful. Don't know for sure, but people say, "Oh, but the liquidation," and then you go, "Okay, well, let's go look at the 10-minute real quick. Let's see how it closed." It tightened up at the close. You had a hammer. Tough to know. It's just what I would call volatility, trading up and down. Adobe talked about you could sell puts on this. Oh, sorry, I don't want to watch the 10-minute. No. Compressing down here. I think it's holding. Apple, ooh, hit the 20-day. Traded around it a little bit. Bought some near, after the Feds. 100 days, probably the downside max. I'm just telling you, just watch what happens to Apple. Amazon, how annoying. I know it closed below the 100-day. Trust me, I get it. I absolutely get it. Added some more today. I don't know if it's the right play. This is very interesting action, in my opinion, that you have this doji high volume. Now you're making a slightly lower low. We've talked about sometimes at the highs you can see high volume and then you make a slightly higher high before it reverses. This one is tough. I mean, I think they're probably in this boondoggle with FedEx getting dragged down near term. And one of the things that ultimately becomes very difficult, I'm just trying to see if there's any other support resistance. Yeah, there's some right there. You can see that area there. I guess it's a little lower. It could get caught. Just have stops. Just be smart, please. Just be smart. Don't be quick. Don't be fast. Don't be in the sense of like expect the move to start always immediately. CRM, I mean, it's breaking the lows. The volume is just absolute poo. I would love to see this thing rally right back, then snap with volume if it's going to drop, right? Yeah, it's tough to say. Google, man, look at that. $9.99.99 is like the freaking Price is Right. Taking out 100. Meta and Google are supposedly gonna be, man, there's that gap there. Trying to curtail their costs coming up. We'll see. See if they can get that done. Guggenheim not looking great. I mean, I'm not in this belief that. Let's continue again. Good God. Just trying to draw this stuff again. This is where I get, and if anyone's saying like, oh, this is easy. No, like this is where I've seen this stuff where it's like it looks like the world is paint. Like the market makers like we've drawn the chart to look absolutely terrible, and then it turns right around. That's where it's almost like you gotta be careful. That's why you don't chase. And you also know your stop, so you got to trust that because at some point it won't rally back, and you will have to be, I guess, stopped out for whatever reasons that you need to be. Meta, oh, good God, same kind of thing. Doesn't look great. Microsoft, man, this thing looked like it was about to flip on its heels. Comes right back down. Things that aren't bullish, I get that. However, keep in mind, we've seen this kind of action just flip right back around. Just zip. I mean, I'm telling you guys, like the market moves so quick now, and things that usually would have taken days now happen in minutes. And it's like flushes out and just chop, all this stuff. It's like, good God, what is going on here? And you just have to remember, it's all just faster. MicroStrategy, and you think this thing would be getting bludgeoned? It's not. Netflix was down 5-6 points today. All right, things that aren't bearish holding up near the highs, that doesn't look right. Like in the sense of if this market was about to implode, oh god, stop it. You would think that this stock would be absolutely turned on its head upside down near the lows. It's not, unfortunately. Keep an eye on it. Roadblocks down 60 cents. Not that big a deal. I mean, we talked about it. It has to hold this like 100 area. This is why you don't bring a ruler, because I've seen this stuff happen. Here you go. It went below it and comes right back. Or you're saying, oh, look, the 100-day has to hold. It goes right below it, comes right back. I mean, you see this all the time. Moving average is great. Try to use them as a resource. Don't always work. Tesla. We'll get into NVIDIA next. Okay. We talked about it. You know, it probably is overbought. Now let's see what happens if money rotates or it's game over. We've talked about these names probably being what, toppy? If you think of like where it started going into the quarter, like closing at the high, I think these things hold up pretty well just because of quarterly markup. Same thing when we get into solar here in like 2 seconds. NVIDIA, here you go, popped up. And now people say, oh, that looks terrible. I'm like, it's not that terrible in my opinion if you look at the action. We'll see what happens. Let's get into the solar names. TAN, wide and loose, holding the lows. Not really. That one's obviously like the ETF not looking great. ENPH talked about it. Don't short it yet. Popped, chop, holding the 20-day. Again, I think it can hold up into the first of the month. Window dressing, all that crap. All right. Sedge said this one was like one of the weaker looking ones. Not surprised. Don't be surprised. Head and Shoulders, we talked about this. Let me zoom out a little bit. Sorry. Here you go. I wouldn't be surprised if it just plays a chop game. Maybe it gets back to 300. My favorite one is for solar. Man, alarm went off today, 140. Did not do anything. Looks pretty distributed, but again, don't be surprised if it can play this game at lows. Right? Here you go. I'm trying to remember the last real high. It has that reoccurring pattern. Here you go. This choppy action. It topped near the first of the month of February. Okay? Don't be surprised if it does that, because keep in mind, the market makers need distributive action, but they also want to hold it up. It's in their benefit to hold it up so they can unload, not just to smash it. And again, on the backside, they'll let it smash. Please be careful. NDAQ. Oh, you had it, Dan. You knew it. And you didn't take it. Now you're back near range lows. I don't know. EXPI, this one's tough. Now, again, if you're like, listen to my voice, I'm like, yeah, I'm a little disappointed. I mean, I thought things were going to act differently. You know, and here's the days where I'm going to hear the endless ribbing of you're always wrong, where the reality is, like, there's a reason why people follow us is that we typically go with the probabilities. We're usually right. Anyone promises you certainty, you just pretend you didn't hear that and you walk. No, you run away from them. 100-day for XBI, it wasn't acting well today. Not surprised. Market does what it's going to do. I mean, you just got to be safe out there, man. I don't know how to, like, reiterate this beyond everything. Like, no matter what I believe, you believe, we always have to be safe, okay? XLF down 68 cents. Not great, right? Like, look at that close. Open and close near the lows. It's got to hold this area. Morgan Stanley, I know the banks are raising their mortgage rates, whatever. Everyone knew that was coming. 200-day chopping, but it's holding up relatively well. JP Morgan, they don't have a buyback. Not surprised, but back just at the lows from August. We'll see what happens. EXPI, I mean, what is EXPI? Up 16 cents. Things that aren't bearish, I guess. No, it's an absolutely beaten. UTHR talked about this yesterday, hitting the 200-day. I mean, this is such easy money. This is where if you overstay, you're welcome. We talked about double bottom of volume. Talked about giving you another chance, then straight line move. Talked about tested the breakout, and then it was like, got a game over. Head and shoulders top. Now it breaks the point of control here. I don't know. I don't trust it. I don't trust it at all. Let's get into oil. Now, here's again where I think the market, as long as oil does not absolutely implode, the market's going to be like, oh, okay, I guess everything's okay. Because it's going to like the idea that oil has come down. Where you're at, doesn't look like it's going to break down at the moment. UNG, but ultimately, keep in mind, like, when the market is ready, nothing is safe. This stuff is going to get beaten, bloodied, pulp, burned out, destroyed. UNG, again, if we keep talking about like the way that market's acting, it seems likely that the market's going to have this like mentality of being volatile within the volatility. And what does that mean? It's like you're going to see certain sectors do certain things and certain sectors not do certain things. And one of the things that I think you might not see, as I've said over and over, is you might not see a really rip in commodities. You'll see them just flatline. And then whatever is retail heavy, tech, solar, just like today, solar pop, First Solar was up 10 points at one point, right? Like it's just, you're going to see them rush into this stuff. We'll see what happens. XOP down 281, just back at the lows. It could be worse. The volume isn't really there. Ended on ExxonMobil back near 91. It's still higher lows. Barely. I guess barely. We'll see. This is where it gets tricky, y'all. And unfortunately, I'm going to be unavailable to do recaps the next 2 days. Nothing to do with anybody other than not to do some things and take care of some family problems, not problems, but business stuff. People seem to get, up and down. And let me end this here on a small rant. Like we talked about today, one of the things that's very hard for people to realize, like you can't get excited about gains until you lock them in. You could see people's emotions. The market's up, they're excited. The market drops, they're just butthurt. And you know what? I feel your pain. And you're not alone. Like I get that. But the thing you have to talk to yourself about is you got to be data dependent. And meaning if it goes higher and then it starts pulling back, well, if you're in near dated stuff, someone was saying like they had some SPY 381 calls, they paid $7, got up to 11. If you didn't take your money and they're weeklies, you can't just hold. You can't just do that. Anyway, please be safe out there. I know there's a lot going on. Everybody and their mom is bearish. That's the problem. HYG holding. I like how the TLT held up. Go check out stock twits again because I like to look at sentiment. It's absolutely mind-boggling how bearish it is. But the market is doing what? It's a trader's market. I think it's going to suck people in because at this point, it doesn't seem logical for them to dump the market unless there's end of month position squaring and they want it and people give up. But you have to just always assume. Remember, the feds are going to do what into a midterm election? You have to assume certain things based on repeating patterns. And what we talked about is there's been a lot of times where the Fed days close at the low and then the next day it turns around. Or it closes at the high, then turns around too. Please be safe. I apologize that I can't tell you what's going to happen every day. I try to do my best. But watch the dollar. Watch the TLT. Watch the SPY levels. It's make or break here. Now, again, if the AM, if we wick down, you got to watch for the intraday reaction or AM reactions because you know what? Amateur hour, first hour. So, hope this helps. Please be safe. I wish everybody could win all the time and wish it was easy, but that's the thing. Trading is not. It's a game of survival. It's a game of pulling money out of your account, not always feeding it. This isn't a gambling account. And sticking to your disciplines and your stops and whatever plan you have. Talk to you guys and gals later. Have a good night. Be safe. Talk to you sometime soon. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.